Hello, everybody, and welcome to Elevate Impact Conversations, a space where we create the opportunity for conversation on very important topics from those that are working directly on the front lines and hands-on all the time with these issues. Today, I am so honored to be joined by Stephanie Harpe, who is an international advocate and somebody who has already shared so much with me and been such a great resource and educator. And I'm so grateful, Stephanie. Thank you for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
Why don't we start by learning a little bit about you and what you do, because you are an incredible woman up to a lot of things.
I wear many hats. Yes, indeed, I do. First off, I'm a wife and I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. I am a cook. And so that's one of my most joys. And also, I'm a award-nominated singer-songwriter. I open up for the biggest names in music with my band, the Stephanie Harpe Experience. And right now we're playing the biggest concert in Alberta for the Together Again concert. So
Yes.
we'll be opening up for Biff Naked and the Trues in 5440 coming up here August 8th, just so you know. And then so we are going to be doing all of that. And then also I'm an actress for movies and television. And I'm also an ex-casting agent for local to Hollywood film. As I put that on the back burner because of what my main job is. And today that is I am an international advocate and lived experience person from missing or murdered and exploited Indigenous peoples of Canada. So that we include everyone. And that includes the men and boys. We don't leave them out of anything. They need the healing and the help as well. So that's what I do. I am, my dad is a Métis man from the Lac-La-Biche area, Cree and French. And then on my mother's side, Dene and Cree from Fort McKay First Nations is my nation. And, so I'm a lived experience person who has been through every single horrific statistic as an Indigenous person here in Canada. And I do a lot of speaking all over the country, all over the world. And I do work with United Nations as well. And I'm mostly on the ground with a lot of the most oppressed and exploited population in this country, which is Indigenous and people of color. So, but I do spend a lot of time educating all Canadians on the truth and awareness, prevention, and action. That's me. That's my job.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I really love what you just said about educating people with the truth. And I just want to acknowledge you and the work that you're doing, and acknowledge also the learnings that I know, I'll speak for myself, that I need to continue doing. And I just appreciate your willingness to educate and share with me in such a way that leads to so much growth for myself. So thank you for that, and thank you for the work that you do. I would really like to dive into what some of those factors and reasons are that result in the Indigenous population being so disproportionately affected by crimes such as human trafficking and the exploitation that the community sees. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, because Indigenous people are not valued in this country. We don't have the same human rights. We don't have clean drinking water. We don't have the same education. We don't have the same healthcare in our communities. We're really vacant and left behind. We're targeted. We're invisible, and we're still fighting for our human rights today. Okay, so the history of it is genocide. We've been killed, murdered, starved, experimented on, tortured, outlawed, our ceremonies outlawed, all of this. And that's the truth, and that's the history. There used to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Indigenous people in Canada. Now we make up only the 5%. That was strategic genocide. That was strategic genocide on the history of Canada and the history of the RCMP and Indian Affairs and now the system that we go through every day. So that all that everyone thinks that all that genocide and oppression and all that you know, downright murder happened long ago. It still happens today. Okay, it's just embedded and weaved into modern ways. um, so it's different for us as an Indigenous person. So for instance, the reason why this happens because the legal system, we do not say justice system for Indigenous person because we don't know what justice is. We never get that. We don't even know what that is. That's like a mystical unicorn that we will never see. And I'm hoping one day we will see that. But at this point, we are treated differently. We experience a lot of racism. We experience a lot of strategic oppression, and that's all, you know, been there since the beginning of you know, once we were all murdered and they started taking the land and they killed the buffalo to purposely starve us. They got Hudson's Bay to give us smallpox blankets, you know, to really kill us off even further. And you know, people think that this is a historical thing. Well, it's not. And so that trauma in residential school in the 60s scoop, right now we are in the millennial scoop. People think that's over with. That's not over with. And so right now living all those historical oppression and genocide is just made into these structures today. Okay. And so when for example, Joey English in south of Calgary, you know, Stephanie English is a good friend and sister of mine that I love and dearly, and she's been through a lot with her family. Her daughter was chopped. Her daughter's boyfriend chopped her daughter's body up into pieces in garbage bags and put them in different garbages in Calgary alleyways. Her body parts are still at the dump and at the landfill, and the guy got 18 months. So when the legal system and the media send that out to Canada, what does that tell them? Okay, you can murder us, you can chop us into bags, and you'll do 18 months. So in the overpopulated world, mental health is an issue. Okay, so right now, mental health is a huge issue, huge issue. Okay, so with all these Canadians who are sociopaths and psychotics and killers and molesters and traffickers and all these people that want to intentionally hurt, kill, and control and sexualize and abuse, know that they can get away with it when it comes to us, because the system treats us differently, and that is echoed within the justice system, that is echoed within the accountability of the media. Okay, so they sent that message out to all of Canada for long time here, long time, you know, with examples of Fulton Bouchy, with examples of Tina Fontaine, with examples of these people who are never ever going to be accountable, ever going to be accountable. And as long as Canadians allow them to do this to the population that they just strategically traumatized, that trauma bleeds into the everyday of an Indigenous person. Okay, this is intergenerational trauma that is passed on, passed on, passed on. So once you know that truth and that you understand that that happens to us today, now you know the truth. What are you going to do about it? Upon your own moral compass, will you be part of the solution or part of the problem? And that makes every Canadian accountable. So that's why that happens to Indigenous people. We are not valued. We are highly targeted because of how Canada has treated us and will continue to treat us unless we do something together.
Yes. Thank you for sharing all of that, Stephanie. And it definitely leaves me at a loss for words, but more than that, and I hope that folks that are watching, and like you indicated in hearing that, for me, I'm not okay sitting and knowing that and not acting. And I know that we are long past a point of, you know, where words are not enough. They
Mhm.
have never been enough, and they're certainly not enough now. And so action is what is needed. I I know that.